Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan your next Disney vacation. You can visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the best and worst of a reopened Walt Disney World. And to help me have this conversation, we have Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
Jackie Gailey.
Hi, guys.
And that's it. It's just the three of us today. And I have to exhale because I just ran down 2 flights of stairs and then back up really quick to try and get to the front door before the doorbell rang for my dogs barking. So I'm sorry that I seem like I'm holding my breath. But with that, so everybody here has been to a different part of Disney. I personally have not been to a theme park just yet. But I did finally venture out to Disney Springs for a short bit last week, and Denny's been to some of the parks, and Jackie's been to some of the parks and stuff. So I figured we could just have a moment to talk about some of the things that we felt like were the best things that we saw, some of the worst things that we saw, or just things in general that we normally do. Maybe some of those things still feel great, some of them don't feel as great. I don't know, so, but before we get started, like I said, I went to Disney Springs. Denny, where have you been? Have you been to all of the parks yet?
I haven't. The only one I've not been to is Animal Kingdom. So I've been to 3 out of the 4 and then several times to Disney Springs.
Okay. And Jackie, where have you been?
I've been to Disney Springs and Magic Kingdom.
Okay. See, Magic Kingdom is the one I am actually the most concerned about visiting because for me personally, I'm most nervous about getting into like transportation or a vehicle that isn't like my own. My rule is like I have to be able to walk from the car to the entrance without coming into contact with anything. Basically, that's just my weird rule for right now. So it just makes me feel safer. But so when you both went to the Magic Kingdom, how did you feel about the transportation? Did you feel like that was fine? That was okay?
When I was there, when I went on the 2 occasions, the trams weren't in operation, so it wasn't even a problem as far as parking lot is concerned. I love the monorail. I enjoy it. I like the ferry boat, but the monorail is always my favorite mode of transportation to get over from the TTC to the Magic Kingdom. I've not taken it, though, during this reopening phase. I've just opted for the ferry boat because it is open air. Yeah. I am very mindful of interior spaces. So I'm just trying to be thoughtful, as we all are, about the different situations we place ourselves in. And so ferry boat has been perfect, just perfect. You stand on a spot, you wait for them to call for your spot, your deck. They'll tell you, you go from your spot waiting to another spot on board, and that's where you stand or you sit for the duration of the journey over to Magic Kingdom.
So do they have you like lined up ahead of time, or is the corral like where you would normally have corralled on back in the day? Is that a little different now? Is it like social distanced out and stuff? Like you said, I know you just said they'll call your deck, so do they have you like load top deck first and stuff?
Yeah. So what for the pass holder preview, they were doing top deck over on the left and first deck on the right. Mm-hmm. And they have those corrals where we normally would have been just shoved in there. That's all physically distanced now. And so they have those big green dots that we've seen, in the different vlogs that we've done and stuff. And you'll go stand on one of those big green dots, and then they'll call you when it's your time. And then they'll remind you when it's your time to start moving to be aware of the physical distance between the party in front of you and yourself. So even in the, hey, it's my turn to get on the ferry boat moment, they're still reminding you, hey, be aware of your surroundings.
That's good. That does make me feel a little better there too. What about you, Jackie? What mode of transportation did you take?
Well, I didn't get to use any of the Disney transportation because we chose to stay at the Bay Lake Tower. And
okay.
I did that purposely because I am feeling kind of the same way Denny is with regards to being in an enclosed space with other people. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, maybe we'll get on the monorail if it's running, but I want to be able to walk just in case I don't want to get on the monorail. And as it turned out, when we were there for the annual pass holder previews, they didn't have the monorails running just yet. So they didn't start until the parks actually opened to the public. So we didn't even have the choice to use the monorail, but it was fine because I preferred to just walk on over anyway.
Well, how was that walk? Because I know that walkway from the Contemporary toward Magic Kingdom, it can get a little squished at some parts. It kind of gets tight in there. How was that experience for you?
Well, we were lucky because we didn't have there weren't any other guests when we were heading over there or even coming back. So it was really chill. And I mean, it was stifling hot. So, the heat was brutal, but that was the only kind of negative experience we had with the whole thing. We didn't see anyone. There were like maybe a couple of people and they would like pass us quickly on the left, but we weren't walking past.
You didn't get stuck anywhere.
We didn't. Okay. No.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice.
Have either of you been where there's been any sort of weather incidents yet?
I've been during rain, absolutely. And so when that happens, as people normally do, you kind of take cover. Thankfully, with the limited capacity of the parks right now, the numbers of people taking cover in any one location in a theme park is greatly diminished. So yes, you're waiting for your mobile order at Pecos Bill, that's what happened to us on Pass Holder Day. Craig's meal got done, 15, 20 minutes before mine did. So I'm outside waiting and I had to step under because this rain, as it does, just blew through Frontierland. So I was still able to socially distance, to be physically distanced from others. So it was fine. They are going to, the cast members won't let you log jam.
Okay,
normally,
good. Yeah.
Like you picture the Emporium at the end of the evening. That's not happening. That's just not happening. The Emporium or another merchandise location during a rainstorm, that's not happening because they are so closely watching the numbers of the people in and then the people out of any one location that it's not going to be that nightmare scenario. It was manageable.
That makes me feel a lot better because, like I said, I haven't been to the theme park yet. And when I went to Disney Springs, I literally I parked the car, and as I was leaving, it was finishing raining because that was my fear is, when you're in the park and, ill prepared like we often are without like the umbrellas shoved in the backpack and you got to run under to get the umbrella out or whatever. Or maybe you forgot it in the car. And I worry that, everyone's going to the same merchandise shop. So you're just going to be all like, and it's already gross on a regular time, regardless of an outbreak of any sort. So
we were lucky. We didn't have any bad weather when we were there. So we were really lucky.
That's my fingers crossed from my experience, but we'll see. But I just I like to be diligent and prepared. And so, Denny, did you do any attractions when you were in the park?
Yes, we did all the attractions we could when we were there for the pass holder preview. We got the things done that we needed to do. I in the morning, he got his stuff done, and then we just continued vlogging throughout the afternoon, and it became suddenly apparent that with the low capacity in the park that we were going to be able to get a ton of attractions done. And we just went from attraction to attraction to attraction. So it was nice on that end. Of course you go, well, the whole reason it's this low is because we are suffering from a pandemic right now. So that's not good. But if you are here during this time, you are going to be able to get on the attractions you really want to get on. Same with Hollywood Studios. We were able to do what we wanted to do. We didn't cram everything in. We could have if we had stayed until the bitter end, but we decided not to. But as far as safety measures are concerned on the attractions, that it carries over. It's it's throughout the entire, all of the parks are experiencing the same thing from what I've seen of Animal Kingdom as well, where they couldn't keep physical distancing standards. They've put up plexiglass and metal barriers. And so I can't turn and cough in the direction of the person next to me. There's going to be that plexiglass barrier, which is going to be really nice. Where they can maintain physical distancing, they have those markers on the ground. Just, it's super simple. You stop where it tells you to stop, and then you move forward. So they have thought through just about everything. Now, with some of those attractions, those plexiglass barriers, and we talked about this on one of the vlogs, it kind of makes the queue get very squishy.
Yeah.
So you just have to be mindful of that. As far as hand sanitizer is concerned, you've got hand sanitizer as you approach the queue. So as you enter the queue, there's one machine there at one station, and then another one before you board the attraction vehicle, and then another one as soon as you get off and you're exiting the attraction. They've got another little hand sanitizer station. So that's really nice. And dispersed throughout the park, you've got those amazing hand washing stations, and I really recommend that anybody and everybody stop and use those, because that's even better.
Yeah, and how do you feel? Did you feel like there was a good number of those hand washing stations, or do you feel like...
Yeah, for the most part, where I needed one, there was one, and then even in a couple of locations where I went, oh, that's,
yeah, one could go here. Yeah,
that's very interesting. Like they had a double one in Hollywood Studios right across from Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, which was great. It was, I was on my way to get a slushie at the time and then eventually leave, but I had done all these attractions, and there's only so many layers of hand sanitizer you can have on your hands.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's just nice to stop and wash your hands, and it's almost like it's just a refreshing little thing to do, just to wash all those germs away.
Yeah, I was going to say it helps the state of mind a little bit too for me. I literally, if I graze anything, I'm like, I need to go wash right now. And like you said, like I'm a 2 to 3 times with the sanitizer before I'm like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I need to scrape and start over. I'm just curious. So Jackie, did you do some attractions when you were in the park as well?
We did a ton of attractions. So it was so cool to do that many attractions. Like I just couldn't believe how much we could do. And then I kept kind of stopping because I would realize why we were able to do so much. And it was like, oh gosh, because things aren't okay. So that's why this is so amazing. And, there's not very many people here. And it was like, oh gosh. So, but the thing, we basically everything that Denny said about all the attractions were really well thought out, where they put the plexiglass, where they put the markers. There was a weird thing though, when we were at Pirates of the Caribbean, there was a big family in front of us that had like 7 people in their party. And so when they were standing on the line in front of us, they took up a lot of the room in between. So we would just pay really close attention, because sometimes they would squish up together and not take up as much room. But for the most part, they were kind of like really spread apart just in their own little group there. So we would stay back an additional line. So you kind of have to pay attention to your surroundings a little bit, because, you've got kids, and, sometimes the parents aren't always like, scooch up closer to me or whatever. And sometimes teenagers who are like, I don't want to stand that close to my parents because whatever. So it's, you just kind of have to be on the lookout.
I always say the concept of space is non-existent at a Disney theme park. So this feels like this is new ground for them, trying to be like, remember, there are other people here as well, so.
Yes.
Well, and they're doing a great job in the parks. Every 20 minutes or so, a safety reminder announcement plays over the PA system, just reminding you again of the gravity of the situation, right?
Yeah.
to make sure you keep your face covering on, not to, to make sure you've got your physical distancing, don't touch your face, all these things. So if you forget for a minute, which I think we've all felt like, I think we forget sometimes. I know I have, and I go, wait a second, I'm within 6 feet of the person in front of me. I gotta pump the brakes real quick, just a hair. If you forget the situation, they'll remind you. And I mean, they've thought of just about everything.
That's good. That definitely makes me feel better. And if you are listening to this or you're watching this and you haven't seen those vlogs yet either, or you need to know where to go, you can find those vlogs at youtube.com/disunplugged. And then there's been some videos that come out on the other YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/wdwinfo, because there's some great like atmosphere videos that could help somebody, determine like, oh, that's too much, too little, or something like that. And remember, this is just the beginning too, and it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving thing, because just this week Disney said like, okay, well, we're going to close this loophole on people with masks and eating and drinking. So the idea now being that you have to sit still and eat and drink, because that to me is the big thing that I've kind of witnessed was especially when you're at Disney Springs, which I feel like we'll save that for just another second, talk about that in a second, because that's its own separate entity, because that's not a place you pay to go to, and anybody can go there, and it doesn't have to be an annual pass holder or anything like that. And so like I feel like there's an extra level of security always at the parks. That's always true, I've been like, but you're in a lot more contained space, and and when you're there for an attraction, it's a different state of mind, when you're in that place. But you guys have made me feel better about going to a park. But let me tell you, what do you feel like is something maybe you saw that could be improved at the parks, or was there an attraction that you witnessed where you're like, I feel like this attraction needs a little bit of work on the thing? Was there anything that stood out that you'd say wasn't as stellar as you were hoping it could be?
Not necessarily in the theme parks. I mean, that, and Craig and I said it in the Epcot vlog, but Epcot is different right now, and it just, you could attribute that to a handful of different things. And I think one of the big chunks of that, just in analyzing our time there, was, at least for me, was just there's the palpable just feeling. You can feel that the international college program kids, and then the cultural representatives, international cultural representatives, are not there right now. And it feels different. And not everything is open. So you may have a counter service location that just is not open, a table service. It was eerie to walk by the China Pavilion and see the chairs up on the tables in Nine Dragons. Oh. And just little things like that are normally staffed by these amazing people who just are not here right now.
Yeah, I feel like it could kind of remove some of that. Like I don't want to say authenticity, because it is an extreme representation of the but every pavilion was worked on with the country it represents, right? So having representatives from that country adds to that sort of, that expo feel, that World Expo, or, whatever, that the educational feel to it too, where you could be, ask somebody like, oh, well, what's it like, in France? What's it like here in Mexico? What's it like, and I feel like I can definitely see what you're saying. It didn't even kind of occur to me about I just keep thinking about the festival being open, I guess. So I wasn't thinking about individual pavilions. I was thinking about like the entirety of the attraction. And I have to ask you though, because of there being the Modified Food and Wine Festival going on right now, that's a lot of eating and drinking and stuff. How did that aspect feel to you walking around World Showcase? Were there areas where you felt like it was crowded and there was a lot of people with no masks, or did you feel like it was mostly well kept?
It was really well done. The day that Craig, we were of the same mind that day. We were not necessarily going to eat.
Okay, yeah.
We just didn't feel in that moment like we were there quite yet. And so we got to experience it. We motored around the World Showcase. We stopped and saw everything, checked out the 4 booths that are in the World Showplace, event pavilion, that whole thing. But for the most, for the entirety of, like, I would normally, oh my gosh, I walked past the pau de queijo, the cheese bread in Brazil, and that is, I mean, that's something that I go several times each festival to get, and just enjoy. And I'm scheming now how to get back over there and actually do that, but I'll have to remove myself. At least 6 feet. It'll be more than that from other people. We didn't really see masks down that day. People were being super, super respectful. There were little pockets of congestion that were happening because there just are more narrower spots that occur on the World Showcase. But the lower park capacity combined with everything else, you didn't have people walking and eating as much. I saw people with like drinks. I got a slushie, and if you've got a straw, you can kind of slip your straw under your mask, and it's no big deal. So use a straw if you get a drink. But for the most part, I'm loving the fact that they have placed this new standard of you gotta pick a spot, either sit or stand, and be away from people to lower your mask to eat or drink.
Yeah, because when I went to Universal Studios for the annual pass holder preview, that was the big thing. Everybody kind of had the drink walking around and be like, oof, like darting around people. And I mean, for the most part, it wasn't like out of control, but that was where I was like, okay, this makes me uneasy. Also, I don't want to be that person. I do want to, I'm like you, Jenny, you say you got the slush. Like, I do want to have a drink when I'm there, but I want to go, and I'm with you. I'm more than a 6 feet distancer. I'm usually like minimum 10 for me, but, I feel like people's perception of what 6 feet is off. So that's why I always am like, well, I'll just go for whatever I think 10 feet is. And I always I want to do a visual representation with Craig at some point and like have him lay on the ground and be like, there has to be a Craig Williams on either side of you at all times. Yeah. Many Craigs away from me at any moment. And so, but I haven't, I like beer, and I haven't had a drink on a tap since the first week of March. And I'm just thinking like, it's an experience, but at the same time, I'm like you, it's like, do I walk past it and do I not risk it? So read the room and find the situation. And,
Baseline Tap House is going to be calling your name, Rhino.
That's right. I'm not going to, because I'm going for that Ronto wrap, and then I'm like, you got to walk by Baseline Tap House when you go in there, and I'm just like, I feel like that's my sense of normalcy. I want to try and get, but do it responsibly and be safe with others. So I go in and grab it and then like run away somewhere and hide in the Muppets area somewhere. But
that was that's hard. We got a Dole Whip when we were in Magic Kingdom, and we just sat on, how they have the rocks there where you can just, and that was kind of a little weird though, because there's tons of people walking past. Yeah. And I'm like,
I always feel guilty too. It's like that, because I will say that when I was at Disney Springs, I was like, I mean, I guess we can just talk about Disney Springs now, because I do feel like this is the area where it's not, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't somewhere. I get the urge to want to go out and be doing something because, something different, something whatever, socialization and stuff like that. But I feel like it was about 50-50 for me with people with like masks and like a lot of under the nose, a lot of, there was actually a lot of kids had them on. So it wasn't even like, I know a lot of people have been like, oh, well, kids, how are you going to get kids to keep on? Most children had them on. I was surprised. So I was like, oh, you're not the problem. It's your dad. It's your mom, it's your whoever, because like they'd have them down. There's a lot of under the chin business. And then some people where I was like, where's your man? But I got to a point where I'm walking around and, the sun is set and people walk by and I'll just say, where's your mask? Because they're not going to see it's my mouth moving. So, but I'll just keep saying it. It wasn't all like that, but there were definitely moments, and I was there toward the end of the evening, not realizing it closed a lot earlier than it used to. It's not open till 2 a.m. right now. But there was some places that did it better than others. It, like I said earlier in this video, it had rained just before I got there, and I was trying to go meet somebody, and it was, or some friends, and I met them because one had a rapid test and he had been tested and he was negative. And the other two I know didn't have it either. So I was like, okay, if we can find a spot, I said, well, we're 6 feet away from everyone else. But because it had rained just before I got there, all the restaurants and everything had like clumped the seat. It looked normal to me. And I was like, I feel uncomfortable. Like I'm in a weird way right now because this all looks very like nobody really has a mask on anywhere here. And so like I'm a 2-masker. So I have my N95 on under my cloth mask because I feel like the N95s are a little thinner and easier to breathe through. And sometimes the cloth ones, I can feel the air and it makes me nervous. So I'm paranoid. But no, that was like, that scenario was a little uncomfortable for me. And it was a lot of that. A lot of people just kind of walking around and just kind of careless about it, and it made me nervous. But I will say, like I said, it wasn't like that everywhere because I had to go into the Lego store for a second. And I felt okay with Lego store because it's so like open on both sides everywhere. And I was literally just going in to ask if they had something and then leave. And there was like 5 people in the store. So it was empty. And then there were, I don't know if they call them cast members too, but there was like Lego people at every door, Lego human beings, not Lego people. And they were like very vigilant about, like, they would say stuff from a distance. They'd be like, stop right there. You know, they'd say, like, this is the entrance. That's the exit. They had one way in, one way out, which was great. And they were really good about the distancing inside of the store and stuff. So that made me hopeful, you know, that they have a really strict standard there. And, you know, so it's kind of, again, it's, you go in, somewhere it's going to be great, somewhere it's not going to be great. But, Denny, I know you've gone to Disney Springs too. Jackie, you have too. But like Denny, how have your experiences been over the time with Disney Springs?
Well, and it's the same. Yeah. Rhino, it's if you go earlier in the day, you're going to be likely better off. There's going to be more of the social distancing squad there. That'll help make sure that everybody has their masks on. And a lot of people, you know, we might have people who are watching her like, well, this is just part of it. This happens and not everybody's going to wear their mask. Except at Disney, that is part of the policy. Like you have to put on a mask in order to access the location. And you're supposed to keep it on. But in the evening, as the day goes on, people are, you know, just there's more people there. They might be more apt to do what you were saying, Rhino, kind of dropping the mask below the nose or below the chin. And there are less social distancing squad members there, it seems. Yeah. I have something I need to return in the next couple of days over there. And so I'm trying to think through when I go because knowing what it's good, because you got to be strategic now. Exactly. And not everybody, I'm not perfect at the whole social distancing thing. I am so not. But it's you get back on, you know, Disney property and you get back in that mode of, oh, this is what we do. And, you know, people walk everywhere and they get right up on each other. Well, no, you can't do that right now. And so I kind of find myself as I'm walking along, because I'm going to move and groove. I'm going to go from A to B and get done what needs to get done. But you have to just kind of back it off a little bit.
It reminds me, this is so bad, but it reminds me of The Walking Dead, where like, because we have I'm like with you, a mission oriented, where you're like, okay, I know I have to go here, 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 and how am I going to go here, and what am I going to do, and if I can't go this way, I'm going to go this way, and like, you know, you come out of the orange garage, do I go over the bridge or do I go up the stairs, you know, if I have to get back to the boathouse area, and it's like, you get the not Neanderthals, you know, just the people meandering around. They're just wandering. And you're like, okay, well, there's a pack over there. Don't make any noise. You know, there's a pack over there. Don't make any noise. You know, so, like, okay, I can see them coming together. Okay, we have to go around the other way. And it is I hate to say it, but if you like The Walking Dead, now's your chance to try and be one of the people to avoid the walkers. So it's like
That's so funny.
a super anxiety inducing game. But
Yeah.
what about, I was going to say, Jackie, what about you?
We had made, so my husband, we like to watch Guy Fieri on Food Network. And so my husband has been dying to go to Chicken Guy ever since it opened. And so we had this plan that we were going to go there. We've never eaten there before. So we were like, okay, well, we're going to park in the it's the orange garage that's closer to that one. So we were like, we're going to park in the orange garage. We're going to head right over to Chicken Guy and we're just going to see how it is. It's not very far into Disney Springs. So it wasn't like a huge commitment, and we were like, okay, so we'll do that. And then maybe we'll walk around a little bit. And so that's what we did. But, the whole dining experience was good. They had all the markers in place in the restaurant, and they had tables spaced out so that they didn't just have little signs on tables that said don't sit here. They had tables spaced out, and they were outside. There were quite a lot of tables outside, so that was really, really good. But watching people walk by, it was really hit or miss with face masks that night. And it was Thursday night before the preview at Magic Kingdom. It was actually the first day that Magic Kingdom was open for previews for pass holders. Mm-hmm. So, but at Disney Springs, it's so different there, like you guys both have said. And then we walked around a little bit after we ate. So we went through the tunnel where, Lilly Pulitzer and all those are. Every one of those shops were closed. There wasn't one that was open, and it was probably about 8:30 or so that night by the time we were walking through there. And we got out the other side, and there weren't any stores really open there either. And I was feeling kind of not excited because there were a lot of people walking around drinking and eating mm-hmm. things. And they don't, it's like you said, Denny, it's hard because people aren't, staying physically far apart from people is not right at the forefront of our minds, and we forget. So people came too close to me several times, and I'm not used to being the kind of a person that gets
get away from me.
By that. Yeah, I'm not like that at all, and I found that I was being like that. I'm like, back away, get away. Yeah, that's it's weird.
And if that doesn't bother you, then that's awesome. But for those who that's going to cause a moment, then it's good to have a heads up before you, head over there for the evening. So
I was not feeling it, and so I said to my husband and daughter, I was like, you know what, you guys, let's just go. Can we go? Is that okay? Nothing's open, I'm sure there were other things that were open, but.
I think the thing with Disney Springs too is the attendance level can't be in the same level as that. I mean, I guess they must be monitoring how many people are parking. I will say this: there was a lot of police officers when I went there. A lot of police officers down by the lower level of the garages I saw as I was driving by, and I was like, oh, there's a ton of cops here. And I bet this is just, in the event that there's any sort of an incident with people that have to be told, or anybody gets, aggressive or any of that sort of stuff. I know that Disney always has police around anyways, but
we didn't see any of the social distance squad people though.
I didn't even remember they were a thing until Denny said something on the Tuesday show this week. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute. I didn't see a single cast member that wasn't somebody working at a location, except for when I left the orange garage at the very bottom. There's always that cast member who has like maps, and they had a table with the hand sanitizer and stuff like that. I'll tell you too, I did get a cupcake from the Sprinkles machine outside, the to-go machine, because Eli requested it. And what was great about that is they had the giant hand sanitizer in or out, and people I watched, they used it before they touched the screen and after they touched the screen. And I was like, okay. And I was great to use that one too, because I was like, all right, it's in my thing. I put it in the bag and then I don't have to touch it and whatever. And then I go and I wipe the bag down too, because I'm a crazy person, and that's fine. But
that's good.
It's just, I'm not in the mode yet for me. Listen, I get it with people that it's going to be a tough thing because what do you when you think of Disney? It's a theme park. It's outside. It's like it's you're holding something in your hand. You're eating something. I'm afraid anything touching my fingers to go anywhere near my face. That's where I'm at now, and that's great because that's where we all should be at. But what I've realized, most of the things I love at Disney require my fingers to make it into my face. So I have some like reusable silverware that I have that comes in like, it's a pouch. It's like a zip pouch that you can slide in your bag, or you can clip onto the hook of your pants because it has oh great, my phone rang. Sorry if anybody heard that. It's got like, it's about this big, about the size of a pencil case, and it has like a loop, and you can put a carabiner and clip it through yourself, or I put it in my sanitizing hand, my whatever I call my fanny pack. I call it my Sanny fanny, and it's got a metal straw in there. And it has the fork, because I was like, well, I'm not going to bring a knife. I don't want to get in trouble. And I mean, it's a butter knife, but I was like, probably not a good idea. But that was my like, okay, in the event that if I have to use any silverware, I can just open this thing up, put it in my mouth, put the silverware back, zip it back up, and we're done. Because that's the type of loon I am.
Well, and for those who do want like a reusable utensil, they are still selling the Spike the Bee sporks from Flower and Garden at the modified, a Taste of Food and Wine Festival. So those guys are still being offered for, I think they're $2.50. So
that would be that's a great thing to toss in your bag too, because then it came from Disney, so there's no argument about you bringing it anywhere with you either, and stuff like that. So so in general, I feel like we're kind of feeling like Disney Springs could have a little bit more. Pump in a couple more cast members who are social distancing squad, and it would add a little bit better of a feeling there, I feel like. And now with that new stationary rule with the food and drink, I feel like they're going to need it there specifically, because that is a place you eat and drink and wander. And so I think it would make everyone, well, at least me, it would make the crazies feel better. But I mean,
even the not crazies, Rhino, I don't think you're crazy. Because, I mean, honestly, like, this whole situation has made people think of things that a lot of us just haven't like, I haven't ever really been a germaphobe. I used to run a child care center for 12 years. I don't, germs are a thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're just whatever. And so it's making a lot of us pause, because it's different now. These germs are different. You know, they're not, you're going to get a common cold and maybe get knocked down for a day or two. This is like, do not come within 6 feet of me, or I will give you the mommy glare like you've never seen in your life. Like, and I don't care if you're another grown up either. So like, you know, that's,
I've done this thing. You have to perfect because you can only see the eyes. You have to perfect the look down at the place, because that's what I do at the post office when somebody will come in, and I'll be like, I do 5 looks up and down, and then if they still don't move, I'll say, excuse me, the line's over there.
There you go.
I had a moment like that in Mouse Gear last week, where the friend behind me just could not stand on her spot, and it's hard. It's hard.
And you don't want it, because you don't want. I know you guys are a similar like me. It hurts me to my core to come off as rude to anybody. Yes. I don't want anybody to do that. And so like, I'm polite to a fault, I feel like sometimes. And some people will be like, no, you're not. You're very blunt. And I'd be like, I'm blunt with people I know. I'll be very like, you know, because that's people I know. You know what I mean. But like with people I don't know, it's please, excuse me, thank you, hold the door open. Oh God, that's a nightmare now, isn't it? But the thing, it's hard for me to ask strangers to respect me. That is a psychological problem, clearly, right there.
Let's talk about that, Rhino. Can we talk?
Seriously. Do you guys have a couch I could socially distance and lay on your front lawn and talk to you for a little while?
Yes.
It's, if you are going to come to the parks during these days, you have to be willing to speak up for yourself, and you are your own best advocate in that moment. You have to be. And people who are coming are having successful theme park days. It's a lot of fun to see them all over social media and, to read some of the contributor pieces, and they're, getting to do all of these amazing attractions and have these experiences. But you have to be willing to say, no, what I am feeling in this moment has value, and I'm going to communicate with a perfect stranger, which, like you said, Rhino, that is so not easy to do.
No, my
it's not. It's so hard.
So I do have this one tip about eating, because I know I've said a couple times in this video, eating, drinking kind of makes me nervous. I saw this, Carly, if you don't follow Carly Wiesel, she has been on the show before, and she is really great about in-depth coverage with theme parks and stuff. And what she was doing was taking food to go and then going back to her car and eating it in her car, because it gave her own little safe bubble. And she could also de-germ, essentially, because she's the type of germy like me, where we like to have we always have hand sanitizer, the wipes, all this stuff. And so it gives her that own moment. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. Like, if you're uncomfortable, but you can go. That's why I like to have my car within walking distance and not have to take like another transportation. But that might help somebody. So, but yeah. Denny, did you have something you wanted to say too?
I do. I have just real quick, like the very best thing, because this is best and worst. So the very best thing that I have experienced, and that, in my opinion, that guests get to experience these days. We saw the cavalcades in the Magic Kingdom and in Disney's Hollywood Studios, and then what's going on in Animal Kingdom with the characters going out on the pontoon boats on the river. How cool that is. The very coolest character interaction that I have personally gotten to experience was Pooh Bear and Joy living their best lives in the grassy area across from the Imagination Pavilion in Future World West. We were on our way, our first time in and out of the Land Pavilion that day. We were walking along, and I turned and looked, and we both did it at the same time. And we went, oh my gosh, there's Pooh. And, Craig takes off scooting along with his camera equipment, and I'm following behind. Like, it was the coolest thing. Pooh Bear is out in the grass with his butterfly net trying to catch butterflies. And then Joy was just that. She was filled with joy. She had the most just charming interaction with a little girl that had stopped by to say hi to her. Of course, this is all physically distanced. There's a gate in between a fence, a low fence between the guests and the characters, but they interact, doesn't matter that they're not speaking words. It was beautifully communicated without them.
Yeah.
Joy pantomimed, gardening, the whole nine yards. And it was just a joy-filled interaction with both of the characters. So I am really hoping that these are things we won't lose after things calm down. If things calm down eventually, I'm hoping these charming pop-up character interactions get to stick around.
I have been a fan of seeing these pop up on social media, and I was thinking they're great, because these are those type of videos that you see every now and then where you're like, oh, did you see this video where like the evil queen went around and did this, or this character did this? And I, for one, whenever like Nick and Judy make a rare appearance, I like to watch, and see what they're doing. But it also makes me feel creepy, because I'm always watching and they're just meeting people after people after people. And now you kind of get to see them do a little play. Like, it's a fun experience. And I think it really kind of brings the character a little more to life than it just being like, all right, go ahead, Timmy, go on up there. Let me get your picture. And the kid's like crying, or like my nephew did. He punched them right in the goods, the poor dog from Up, Doug. And I was like, oh, I am so embarrassed right now. But, I like seeing the characters come to life like that. So I'm with you. I hope that does stick around. So
I hope it does too. I think it's the cutest thing. We were walking out of Magic Kingdom, and they had just done this whole performance with every Disney princess up on the train station, and they were all filing down the ramp as we were kind of turning the corner of the Emporium. So we could see them all just coming down, and it was just really cool to see all of them. Yeah. And I was bummed that we had just missed whatever it was that they did. So
I like these moments better because it's just as easy to turn around and take the selfie with them now. You know, we live in a different age where you can, they're right over the shoulder and you're like, look at my photo. Cool. But I will say, because it is the best and worst, I feel like it's one of their missed opportunities here is with none of the face characters wearing masks. Kind of bums me out a little bit, like, because their handlers will come out and they have like the mask on and you're like, why doesn't Elsa have her mask on? Why doesn't, like, wouldn't it have been cool to make like this cool ice mask or you know, stuff like where I'm thinking like I want to see them wearing something so then I can be like, ooh, I want that. Like, you know, like it, you know, Snow White could have something with like the dwarfs on it, or maybe it's made out of the jewels from the mine or something. And you know, I just little things, you know, maybe they'll get there, maybe they won't. I don't know how it works, you know, so
yeah,
we'll see. But that's where kind of the state of affairs are as of recording this video, and those are our feelings about this. And they could, like we said, they could shift when we go back to these places, when I finally go to a theme park or any of that stuff. So thank you, Denny and Jackie, for letting me know your feelings on this matter and having this conversation with me. And thank you everyone out there for listening and watching. And again, if you are trying to plan your next Disney vacation, head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Let one of the I was going to say masterful. What's the word I'm looking for?
Sure, expert.
Experts, the experts.
Masterful is nice too.
I imagine them like Mickey like stealing the spell book or the hat or so. You know, does Mickey steal a spell book? We've been doing this too long. It's fine. But you know, whatever. But anyway, let one of those wizards over there help you out and plan the perfect Disney vacation. DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. That'll do it for this episode, but we will be back for another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Bye, everyone.